to sell mission impact. We believe this community will buy exponentially greater mission impact. I learned this lesson in economic development. In economic development, we pay for regional efficiencies in the cause of regional economic development. You have a portal, a great point of entry. Most of the solutions don't end there, they just begin there, and they end someplace else. And many times, most times, the economic development entity is not a signatory to the deal, but are indispensable to getting to the deal. I believe we can use a similar tool to advance larger scale projects and initiatives in our community, things that we would not own but need to be done. And we're prepared to test the question in Cleveland. Can we contribute more? And will this community invest in an urban league that desires to contribute more?
Mr. Holifield, you talked about your Small Business Development Center, and I think over the past 5-6 years or longer, you guys have done a terrific job creating a resource for small businesses in your organization. If there were one thing or two things you could fix for the clients that you see every day who are trying to develop small businesses in your community, tell me what they would be.
It's one big thing: how they think when they come through the door. Self-activity, motivation, entrepreneurial spirit cannot be implanted in anyone. The best the service provider can do is help remove any and all barriers to the full expression of what's already inside. Starting a business is not a game. It's not a joke. It is serious. And if there's one thing we could change, is that those who walk through that door bring that level of commitment from day one and recognize just how serious small business enterprise is.
Mr. Holifield, you stressed the importance of the Urban League's services and trying to provide jobs and economic opportunity. Of course, a great deal of that depends upon the education of young people, and Cleveland, unfortunately, has a horrendously high dropout rate of young people from their high schools. A certain amount of the funding for public schools is each year taken out and really put into the form of vouchers that make possible private schools education. To what extent do you think that money that's used for vouchers and for private schools makes it more difficult to obtain the kind of education that young people need to get the kind of jobs that you're speaking about?
Well, I guess I'm at the City Club now. That was a question. I'm a fan, a believer in competition. And I'm hard-pressed to identify, and frankly will challenge all of you and anyone listening to direct us to an institution, corporation, industry with no competition that is healthy, viable, and delivering high value. So with full recognition of the scenario you just described, I don't fear competition. I embrace it, and I do believe that having competitive tension in the delivery of public education ultimately could be healthy.
I was wondering if you could comment on something that was in the paper this last week or so. A friend of the City Club, Randell McShepard, was noted to have been asked to serve on 22 different nonprofit boards. Of course, he's an African American, and he bemoaned the fact that he is always asked to serve in that capacity, and that there are not perhaps as many asked from the African American community or other minority communities to serve on nonprofit boards. Could you give us your thoughts on that issue and what the Urban League is doing on that topic?
I'm less familiar with the dynamic in Cleveland, but I can speak to my own experience. I read that piece as well, and I would concur with Randall. And the important thing that I got from the article was that he didn't view it as a badge of honor. He thought it was a tragedy, and I concur. It's all about helping people to contribute. I'm going to tie it into the dynamics in the national election. Senator Obama is not the first articulate, bright, and savvy political figure from the loins of Africa in America that we've had. He is the first, by virtue of myriad circumstances, to be able to contribute that excellence to the nation. My challenge is for the not-for-profit, but as importantly, if not more importantly, the for-profit sector, to allow those who are capable to contribute their full measure and potential. It's not just about acquiring a board seat and exercising the rights as a trustee. It's about contributing to the health and vitality of that corporate entity. And there are those who can do that. And I think it is a shame that we are experiencing what we are. The Urban League has a young professionals organization. While the explicit goal of placing emerging professionals on boards is not the focus, we certainly believe that the kind of leadership platform that we provide will position them with higher visibility, better connections, to ultimately contribute on these not-for-profit and hopefully for-profit boards.
You mentioned the success the Urban League has had in placing people in employment, in starting new, having people start new entrepreneurial businesses. Does the Urban League follow up on those measures of success by checking back with those same people, with those same businesses in subsequent years to see how many of them are remaining in business and to see what problems they are encountering so that they can continue to be successful?
It's a great question, and we'd love to. That's part of contributing more.